calculation setting. All right. New stream setting locations. All right. So hopefully you guys get any calculations. All right. You're going to come into all formation. All right. Just follow calculation setting. You get a phone reception line, get you in position locations. Right, so it's a good thing I have a phone. At least we got at least over 20 minutes of what I wanted to say in that calculation interference. See, it's interesting how you come into all formation locations when you come into a channel operated string line that's connected to emotional line setting. It's important you understand these things because every time you get up in the morning, you're going through your emotional system and how you feel. It's all connected in how you're connected to your system. And this is all levels of you, which you have to balance, okay? All right, so once we get into zero gravity line setting, we'll start position locations. We'll do the review, and tomorrow in position line setting and clocking, we'll go into the evaluations, all right? Evaluations is gonna get a high setting. All right, so zero locations into positions. We're gonna start off with 30 communication, all right? 30 communications, all right? It's 30 high-rise line settings, so 30 line rotations in position locations. All right, so when you do this line setting rotations, I want you to understand how to get into the VAS, to the volume, to the velocity, to its calculation setting. Okay, VVV. Now, once you understand the VAS, the velocity, and its volume communication setting, doesn't matter what order is in it. As long as you understand the bracket setting locations, you set position location at 3 lines into zero gravity line setting. Sets position location at 30 position line settings in locations, bracket line setting locations of 0, dot center location at 3, 0 line position. Okay, that's all through 30 line settings. So there's a very high rise line position of travel here in calculations. All right, so understanding your provisional locations of where you are through track setting. Okay, so when you get out of position locations, we go into 30. So we understand the line strip. There's a line strip locations, right? All right, so the line strip comes in. Once we get into that signal, it high force lines triangles and puts you in a higher line division. So when it gets into locations, you understand 30 line setting, and you guys have to understand the foundations of your 12. Your 12 is extremely important to you. That is your DNA to your position location to track setting. So you get into 31. Now 31 opens all position and directions. Now I'm just showing you how you can use the number line settings to your position, your GOD. This is a practical system that you have to understand how to use it through spectrum communication settings. So once you get into 31, that 31 line setting is its Fibonacci into 1 division. Equal line conditions equals the Fibonacci sequence. 31 equals Fibonacci. Fibonacci rotates its center line rotations, does a half byte in communications into 6 line channels operation streams. Setting communication line centers into 32. Now I'm showing you how you do this through travel locations. Remember, everything at 30 until you get into 40, it's all levels of you. So 30 is all representation to what? Your sacral communication system in direct line setting, okay? So it's a seed anomaly, set location of space, setting position location to 3 line settings. So you got 3 line position into also 2. Now the just 2 is the security of its perimeter. Setting position locations in, all right, and then 32 comes into positional locations. I'm showing you how you travel through your number sequence line settings. Okay, it comes into 33. 33 equals line setting locations of what? What is 3? Remember to use your frames of 12 DNA. Okay, this is just a review. Tomorrow we go into the evaluation. All right, so 3 line setting. Okay, that's how you communicate to all communication system. 3 line setting locations is 3 line setting rotations to what? If you get 33, that's 2 Fibonacci sequence swirls, one going one way, one going the other way in my telepathy communication to each other. Okay, to each other. So that's a Trinity standing where the Fibonacci sequence has one way going forward and another way going backwards. That opens all communication line settings in position location and direct locations. Okay. All right. So once you get in that position locations, we come into all line communications into 34. Right. So again, 3 line division. Now the 3 line division sets up locations into your solar plex. That comes into your solar generation light stream. Solar generation light string sets line positions. All right, so you know exactly how to use the foundations of your 12 DNA, guys. That's what all this is. Okay. So you have to really stay in your position, location, directions. Know exactly what you're doing through your chakra systems. When you're recharging, when you're sleeping at night, you have to get in your protections and your securities. You have to nurture your system of Mother Earth in correlation. Protect your Earth when you are in position. And then understand the securities of your consciousness that you're going through alterations. Because you're traveling every single time. You're constantly traveling. You're never stopping. You're always, always traveling into different areas of consciousness. This is the alter state location of your visionary line that opens all communication systems to your emotional setting. It's setting up a videograph string, and it's putting you all over the place. And you have to find a way to understand what you're doing through communications when you are recharging. Okay? All right, so we get in position location of 34. Now, what you have to understand is the foundations of you. Okay? Not what General's doing. Your foundations of what your chakra system means to you from 0 to 50. That's the only way you're going to get in that position locations. All right, so you got position location of 3. So that's a Fibonacci into all position of the solar generation light stream. Okay? Generation, solar equals generation. Generation light stream. All right? Then the high signal line comes into 30 positions of 5. Now we already know the 5 signal line center is position locations into line communications of north, west, east, and south. Comes into its diamond core line setting, right? So 5 is positions to the heart line, but the 3 line setting is what? 3 line division, right? You guys are in your divisions coming into your sectors. All right, so getting in that position location, you have 5 channel operation streams. Now it gets a little bit more complicated. Once you understand that, then you understand the 5 sequence patterns in communication setting, okay? Once you get into communication setting, you set locations. So you got position location of Fibonacci, okay? And position location is time reactor. Okay, it's your reactor. So it's a Fibonacci reactor setting. Okay, now you can change it in any way and form in that level rotations, but you have to stand the Fibonacci of its reactor, which is calculated and modified to 35 positions. Then you come into a line location of 36. Okay, so again, 3 line setting is always the sacro, the creative system, the Fibonacci swirl, the Fibonacci circle, Fibonacci rotation setting. But you're always in position locations into 3 and 6. So once you understand how to use that, then you understand what 6 is. 6 is the modifications to your throat pattern, and it opens all communications, right? So it's positions to what? It's your Fibonacci water containment system, all right? Fibonacci water containment system, 36. Keep that in mind. We'll go over it again in evaluation. 37 line setting is what positions? Time frequency, time rounds, time calculation, streamlines. So 3 line center is always in the Fibonacci line center of sacred locations, all right? And that's the true understanding when you come into your all communication, your 12 DNAs, all right? So 37 is the Fibonacci line setting, okay? So you can set locations to anything you want. As long as you stay in frames of your numbers, you're fine. Know exactly what 0 is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Remember that always. That's never going to leave your system because that's your position locations of your 7 bodies of water, of your 5 atmosphere locations. Okay, so getting that position location, 7 is line center location. So what? Fibonacci, okay, equal line condition to theta box. Okay. It's your theta box, Fibonacci theta box. Line signal, line center, and line connection interference to its antenna. There's the antenna position locations, top line, right? So it's a Fibonacci box frequency line setting. It can be anything you want, but to understand what it is the basic foundation, what everything is through number sequence to understand your chakra system locations, all right? So use it to your advantage, and you always use your 12 DNA as reference, okay? Because you're reaching higher levels now. You're no longer going to be in the 12. You're no longer going to be in 24. You're no longer going to be in 35. You're going to be into 50. But we're going to stop right there, okay? Because you have a test coming up on Friday. All right, so line setting, line interference, 38 position. Now, 3 line settings, all calculations. You know it's the Fibonacci. So as long as you add the Fibonacci sequence, you're in position location to its right letter of its communication system. So what you're doing is you're creating a pattern. You're creating a pattern. okay? And if the pattern is offline setting, you have to understand what's going on with the correlation to its position. All right, so once you get into that line connection, okay, so you got a Fibonacci infinity swirl. Fibonacci infinity swirl, okay, that's 38. 39 setting, okay, now you're out of your position location, your crown. So you're coming into the atmospheres now, okay? There's 5 atmospheres of change lines in your direct locations. You have to pay attention to these things, okay? All right, so 3-line setting, okay, equal line condition levels, Fibonacci, okay, of its energy cycle. Energy cycle, waving system, energy wash, rainbow wash, flushing system, right? Fibonacci flushing. So Fibonacci swirl into flushing communication of rain, right? Fibonacci rain circle, rain system, rain line setting. It's an energy wash setting. You do what you want to do in your formation line center. You create the line position locations. I'm just giving you guys a foundation of grounds of what it is through the chakra settings. You have to understand what it is in all position of form, okay? All right, so line position locations, we're going to go into all lines of communications into 40. Okay, so now we left 3 in all line signals. Now we're coming into a new pattern. I want you to understand these things. So you understand locations, right? What it is, position line directions. There's this pretty powerful TikTok video that this kid put up. It's pretty powerful stuff where he was in calculation of patterns from 1 to 10. And what he was doing is he was getting in line signature lines of patterns. And the one position location was 8. 8 was off signal because it wasn't in its pattern. So it should have been line sign locations of 9 into sequence locations instead of 8, because 8 is in position line setting in all calculations, right? So if you change the pattern, you have to understand why you changed the pattern. So it's interesting to look at locations. So you got 1, 2, right? 5 position locations. Right, you got 1, 2, and 3. See how it rotates? And 6, 1, 2, right? So everything flows. The continuous flows of the numbers has to be in pattern. If it changes its pattern, this is off signal because it's an 8. So the 8 should be in position locations here, right? And 9 should be in position location equals 8 equals 9 line setting. So why is that in position locations of being wrong? Because the 9 central system is you. So the 9 center line center sets position location 9 equals 8 and line center location to its infinity of its box location equal line center location of its equation to its system. Okay? So I'm just showing you how powerful that is, position line directions. All right, so back to 40. All right. So it's interesting how people come into all levels of awareness and they feel something that's off. There was another correlation panel that was off position locations where he was trying to understand everything that he was doing. He was trying to understand, am I breaking the matrix of code settings? Because everything that I bring down is the same number, which is number 10. Everything that he subtracts and adds to comes down to 10. So he's got 5 line signals of 10, which means he's opening up dimensional doors, which he is not aware of because he's not awake in the system position location of its directions. Okay, you can be extremely aware to everything that's going on, but not understanding why it's off system through patterns. All right, so in that position locations, we're going to get into channel upper streamlines. So 40 in communication, it's I channel, it's line setting. Okay, so 40, okay. 40 equals line center locations. Now 4 line center is a solar generation light stream, all right? Solar generation light stream. So what is zero gravity line setting? Okay. So you got a light stream setting, all right? As I understand it, the 4 is the solar plex, which is never going to change. Your 12D is never going to change. Just use the principal act of its foundation system and you'll be totally fine in calculations, okay? All right, so 40 line settings into zero gravity, okay? 40 line settings into zero gravity, or 40 into zero gravity, okay? Zero gravity, okay? That's what it is, okay? Zero gravity. Zero gravity. All right. 41 line setting, okay, is calculations to what? Grounds. Okay? So I'm adding things because I'm going high line interference. I don't want you to get in position locations. I say I want you guys to understand how to use your 12 DNAs in your own formation, to your imagination, to your phenomenons. Okay. So 4 line settings into 1, which is the grounds, right? So that's 41 line setting, line positions equals ground level. Okay, that's 41. 42, okay, we already know what 4 is, right? So solar plex line setting. You could say anything in line setting. Just don't forget the number sequence location. We have to stay in the same patterns. All right, so it's changing geometry set locations per second, per mile, per line setting. Okay, now when you come into a levels in 60-second line setting, in that high line of rotation interference, you have to understand all communication center rotations. Oh yeah, and remember, when you're going into higher level setting location in your test review and evaluations, your position location is your positive and negative cycles. So that line setting locations, in retraction, you have half a second to set your position of tone into your behavior line settings in going forward in the future communication system. You have no longer a minute line setting. You have a half a second to retract location of its negative cycle. Okay? Because you're reaching high line settings, guys, especially when you come into capacity locations into 100 line settings, 100,000 lines, capacity, miles per second per channel per operation line center rotations. Your patterns and your communication system has to be in a full rotation setting. Okay? All right, so you know the solar generation light stream. You could say light stream into perimeter. Light stream perimeter. Okay, it's 42. Okay, light stream perimeter. All right, you can do a slash, whatever. But at least you understand what it is. All right, 43, again, solar plex. It's the memory line setting, okay? 43 is the Fibonacci, right? Which is the cycle communications, right? So it's the light stream line setting into Fibonacci sequence. So light signature, sequence. Light signature, Fibonacci sequence. That's what it is. Light signature, Fibonacci sequence. Okay? So once you understand that, you come into 44. Now, 44 is align connections, right? It's balance calculations, all levels set line, coming into 5 position. All right. So you got 4 channels of operations setting in position of 4 line connections, right? So that's a balanced communication setting. That's 2 generation light streams, right? Generation light stream. Generation in set locations, light stream. Okay? Generation light stream. That's 44. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. All right, to exactly what's going on. This is a review. Tomorrow we go into the evaluation. You have to understand how to go from 0 to 50 in your position locations of travels through your imagination to its phenomenon. But you have to stay in your patterns. Okay? All right, so 45, obviously, you know, is calculations. So 49 centers, light stream of timelines. Light streams equals timelines. Okay, timelines. That's 45, right? Recognition of all timelines of the past, present, and future. Your heart recognition line setting is in all clock line settings of 24, 48, 72, and 144. Your position line direction locations has to understand all sequence pattern calculations. How to use your 12 clocking setting, how to use your 24 clocking setting, how to use your 48 clocking setting, how to use your 144. Okay? Your 72 clocking setting. You have to understand these things. You have to learn how to travel through all this to understand anything through that pattern interference location or anything through digital frame settings. Okay? That's the basic understanding. You understand your 12s. You're familiar with your 24. You have no idea what a 48 clocking setting is. You have no idea what a 72 or 144 clocking setting is. Once you get into 144, then you come into all levels of line setting locations of numbers. It's a 0 line position of 1. So, which means you're going faster and faster in acceleration line setting. Okay? Your alterations and your hologram structure is changing point of view in calculation setting interference. So, that's position locations, right? Light signatures of timelines. All right, 46, okay, is obviously the solar generation light stream again. Repeat, 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 repeat. All right. 6 is line connections to what? All right. The throat. Right. So you're just adding frame, 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 frame to all calculation setting. Okay. So light stream of water containment. Light stream equals water containment. Okay. 47. Let's get in position locations. So keep that in frame setting. But I want you guys to get into your own phenomenon, not what I'm doing. Don't copy what I'm doing. Use it as a reference, use it as a foundation, but please do not use it in my calculations of my travels. All right, so in that position locations, 47 is the light streams. You keep going that lines of rotation. 7 is the round line center of your theta box, right? So light streams a theta interference. Light stream equals theta interference. So now you're interacting locations to higher levels. Okay, theta interference. Okay. 48. Now, obviously, we already know what 8 is, right? It's an infinity cycle. Light signatures infinity system. Light signatures infinity system. Okay. 49. Okay, so when you're leaving the infinity line center to all levels of the crown chakra, you come into the higher line setting. Okay, so light signatures, again, see, it's much easier, right? Because you know what it is. The solar plex line center is a solar generation light stream. Light stream, light stream, light stream, until you come into the 50, right? So 9 is the energy wash, rainbow wash, right? So it's light stream of its rainbow wash. Okay, rainbow wash. Okay, that's 49. 50, yay, we're here. 50 communication settings, all right? All communication, 5 generation lights aligned center. Timelines, okay, of operation. There we go. Timelines equals operation. Hooah. There it is, 0 to 50. Okay? Now we started line setting and high interference. You're just adding frame locations, right? But now you understand 0 to 50 and what it is and all position location and calculations, right? Your avatar is trying to understand what's going on through measure. That's totally fine. But always remember what you're doing through frame by frame by frame. All you're doing is adding. That's all you're doing. You got to have to come into 1, 2, and 3 line settings. Okay, you start off line center location of 0, 1. In position location 0, 1. In position locations, a line center location of 2. In position location of 3. Coming into 4 communication, right? So you start with 0 and you work your way up. Now, once you come into calculation of line setting, 0 equals line position of 12 in that position, right? 12 times 1 line setting, line position locations, this is position locations, right? 12 times 12, line position is 24, okay? Now, once you get into 24, your chakra system has to understand how to travel through its 24 signatures, 48 windows, 72 computers, and 144 crystal grid line settings. Each clocking system is a representation to you per second, okay, per minute, per hour, per channel, per operation, okay? Yes, each one has a timeline. So that timeline, you have to truly understand what you're traveling through. And it's important that you bring the seconds in position locations to its calculation. You bring the seconds forward, right? So that comes in position line, high line center to its minutes. That opens all track location to its hour. You're working with seconds, minutes of its hour, not hour of its minutes. Okay? So it's a little bit confusing, right? Because now you're in a galaxy reshift. Galaxy reshift. So what you're doing is you're changing your timelines, lock centers, and high line rotation interference of your position of its program location that's resetting program line center to its galaxy reshift program locations, changing position locations into levels of 7-dimensional line streams. Those line streams are your days of the week. Taking 7 line center equals 6, 6 equals 5, 5 equals 4, 4 equals 3, 3 equals 2, 2 equals 1 in position location, all calculations. 1 line setting. So in that position line setting, then you come into the eye of the Windows cell line connections. But you guys are only in 0 and 50. Okay? There's 114 chakras you have to understand through all pattern communication setting. To get you guys in position of directions, you have to learn how to travel through your 12, your 24, your 48, your 72, and your 144 clocking system. Okay? That's the importance you have to understand. How powerful it is of what you guys are coming into. Okay? So, that's a good start through a review. I gave you exactly what you need to understand. All right? This is the process. Tomorrow we will go into the evaluation, right? You have to understand how powerful it is when you are in positions to your clocking settings. But you have to understand what you are doing through your chakra system because it's changing all levels of you per second, okay? And that per second changes everything in your timeline through your GOD. The geometrics operation of design changes all levels of you to your dimensions, your geographical system to its AI position. So once you understand that, this puts you in all ways and forms. This helps you in all calculations how to set your location and start controlling your system more and more each day, especially when you're and recharging. You wake up, you know exactly, you are in control, you have full communication of integration, and then you can go on with your day because now you're in control of your system in that position, location of direction of its own space, of its own time, of its own pie. Okay? All right, so that's good. Look at that, ready to go. 3 minutes, drink your waters, see you on Zoom.